World, wherever you happen to be joining us from. Welcome to Under the Wire, your home for censored and suppressed information about vaccinations and health. And my name is Meryl Dory, and I'd like to welcome you to the show this evening. We have a pre-recorded interview with Jessica for Australians Working for Australians about the situation with, especially at this point in time, the Victorian ambulance officers who have lost their jobs due to the vaccine mandates and their potential upcoming court case regarding this issue. Now, I have been told that my microphone is not working really well, and that is pretty evident tonight. I've tried to actually enhance the audio, but I still think it's not going to be fantastic. So I do apologize for that. I'm trying to revive my old Blue Ant microphone that I've had problems with in the past. If this doesn't work, I'm going to try and use another microphone in future, but I do apologize for any problems that people may have had and may be having tonight with hearing me. I'm going to go to Jessica's interview in 1 second. I just wanted to let you all know that I will be doing another Under the Wire, most likely this weekend, with Katie Ashby Copens from, she was the AVN solicitor for our case with the High Court and the Federal Court. And there is another case coming out. Oh, thank you, John, so much. I appreciate that. John said that he's hearing me loud and clear, which is wonderful. I do appreciate that because I wasn't 100% sure how it was coming through. So that's great. There is another case that has just been filed in the federal court, and it is an injunction to stop the administration of the messenger RNA vaccines. Of course, the media is not covering this at all, but apparently, and I have to speak with Katie to get all of the details, but it appears that there may have been illegal actions in releasing this to the public. Again, don't take anything I'm saying as gospel truth because I've only just read the information online and I haven't had a chance to speak with anyone. But it appears that the Office of the Gene Technology Regulator is required to be consulted when releasing any new gene modification treatments, preventatives, whatever you may want to call them. And that was not done with any of these COVID jabs that use mRNA. So there has been an injunction applied for as a matter of urgency. And we are really hopeful that finally, the courts will actually look at this information and take it seriously. This is one of many cases that is being filed, but my understanding is this particular case is a world first, and the case that Jessica is going to be speaking with me about in about 2 minutes when I switch over to there is an Australian first. And we wish the best of success to all these cases. In the show notes, there is information on how you can get further details, and also if you're able to, pardon me, if you're able to help provide some financial support. They're not asking for a lot of money. I think the amount they're trying to raise is $11,000, so it's not very much. And if people can give just $5 or $10, it would go a long way to getting this case into court. But without further ado, I'm going to bring you Jessica's and my interview. 2, 1. Welcome, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining us today on Under the Wire. I am speaking with you because you are one of the people who has been working with and for class action that's just starting up in Victoria. And it started with ambulance drivers. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you, Meryl. Thank you for having myself on your show. So we have a project at the moment called the AV Seeking Remedy Project, which is predominantly formed by terminated paramedics in Victoria.
And are you yourself a terminated paramedic?
Yes, that's correct. So I was a paramedic for 18 years and I've been terminated because of the COVID the 19 vaccine.
Right, okay. When were you terminated? When did you stop working?
In December 2021.
So it's been a long time. We're going on 18 months.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
that's a very long
Yes.
time. We did speak with quite a few ambulance drivers when we were on the road with the Vaxxed bus, and you yourself were one of them that we met in Victoria. And my question is, I've got a couple of questions. Let's just start with the first one, which is when COVID first started, there was a period of something close to a year between the time that the pandemic was declared, which was March 2020, and the first jab came out in February 2021. Were you working over that period?
Yes, I was correct. And like many paramedics and healthcare professionals, we worked endless hours, overtime hours, and we wore our PPE gear 24/7. And literally, we worked so hard and we were considered the heroes of the pandemic at that point in time.
Yep. And so, all through COVID, you worked because there was no vaccine. There was no preventative, if you want to call it that, which of course we know it doesn't prevent transmission or infection, but there was nothing
Mm.
available for you to take to prevent you from catching it, or the other ambulance officers who were working for Ambulance Victoria. And as you said, you were the heroes. I remember in the UK they had people come out every afternoon and clap for the healthcare practitioners.
And just to clarify, not that we think that we were the heroes, but it's just a little bit hypocritical that we were considered so valuable and like heroes, and then obviously treated quite poorly when
Yes.
the vaccine did arrive. Yes.
Okay. So the vaccine came out in February 2021. Were the mandates brought in straight away, or was there a period of time where they were just saying, please get it?
So we were working in that year, so 2021, once the vaccines were available. The instruction to have the vaccine or termination of employment would be considered was initially we received that instruction in October, August, yeah, around that time
Okay.
in 21.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So, and it said, or termination would be considered, but they actually terminated anyone who didn't take the jab.
Well, that's right. That's correct. That was definitely the impending outcome, and we were reminded quite regularly with a quick succession of emails instructing us to have the vaccine or termination of employment was most likely. Yeah.
Right. Were you offered an opportunity for an exemption, a medical or conscientious exemption?
No, so without going into too much detail, I can let you know that someone was terminated on a medical exemption of the COVID vaccine 19. So, yeah,
So
there was a
even,
lot of layers of unfairness with a lot of the people in our group.
right.
Yes.
And in the ambulance service, do you have any idea, and I'm only asking, you may not have a clue, but do you have any idea approximately what percentage of the ambulance workers did not take the jab and were terminated?
I, I don't know exact numbers. I remember speaking with about 100 people initially around the time of termination.
Right.
Um, so I wouldn't know exact numbers though.
Yeah. Okay. But it's a good percentage of the people who didn't take the
It's
jab.
definitely a
Mm.
significant number, especially when there's a healthcare crisis and there's staff shortages. We can't afford to lose one,
Yeah.
let alone many.
And okay, so the ambulance services must be running short-staffed at this point in time.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, we definitely hear that in the media. Yep.
And the people who are ultimately suffering are the people who would rely on their help. And I know that,
Mm.
having had to call an ambulance myself in Victoria maybe 6 or 7 years ago when I had a motorcycle accident, that they were just amazing. And the idea that people wouldn't have that available to them right now is pretty horrendous and very frightening. So you and many others were terminated. Were you treated nicely? Was there any empathy shown for you from the employer? Was there any, oh, we're really sorry this had to happen, we're just following orders?
It was quite a blanket response. I don't think there was any circumstance that was going to allow any leeway to have more time. There was a deadline that you had to have it, regardless of people being on work cover, cancer patients being even more, I guess, cautious with what they are going to put in their body, medical exemptions. There were lots of, I guess, more specific circumstances that you would think would give a little bit more leeway. Instead of just a cut-off date, you have to have it by this date or else termination. A few people actually just wanted to wait for a more, I guess, a vaccine that didn't have mRNA, and they were a little bit more concerned about that, as that was a trial vaccine. So they just wanted to wait for, I think it was Novavax, so
Yep.
just a couple of more months, and then they advised the employer that they would have that, but they were terminated anyway.
It's
Yeah, so
it's
it was
as
very
if
blanket.
it's very unfair also because it's your life and your health that is on the line there, and the idea that you couldn't have that choice as a health professional, because ambulance drivers are ambulance officers are health professionals, you should have had the opportunity to actually make that decision. Now, this is a tangential question, but I wanted to know, had you seen up until that point between February and when you were terminated, had you seen any cases of adverse reactions to the vaccine in your ambulance or in the hospital that you were taking people to?
Unfortunately, it appeared that we had. So, as you would probably be aware, that we pick up patients from houses, from public places, and we gain a history. And they mentioned that they have had a COVID vaccine recently, and then we see the signs and symptoms of adverse reactions. So we could assume that that was most likely the case.
Right. So that
Yes,
would have made many ambulance officers even more reluctant to take the jab.
concerned.
Yep.
Yes,
Having seen that. Okay.
concerned.
So,
We were hesitant, so we
yes,
just wanted more information and more time. We weren't given much time
which
to
is reasonable.
process
Yep.
and make an informed decision.
That's right, because it was an experiment, and legally,
Mm,
you shouldn't be allowed to be mandated to take an experimental medication no matter what. That's against even Australia's laws, which are pretty weak in that area. So, a lot of you were terminated in November, was it? 2021?
December, in
December,
December,
December.
yeah,
Merry Christmas.
2021.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
So, um, it must have been, I mean, you were working for 18 years. You'd given your all to this organization and you were let go. Were you able to collect any government benefits? Were you able to, how did you guys make ends meet? It would have been very difficult at that time. And also just your emotional aspects too, to be terminated from a job that you had been doing so
Mm.
long and that many of you had been doing so long. How did that affect many of you?
Yeah, so definitely there have been detrimental outcomes because of the termination. So whether, so speaking holistically for the group in general, people have had to sell houses to pay for living expenses. People have suffered mentally. People have been, I guess, ostracized from their own friends, family, colleagues, community. Yeah, people have not, they have not been doing well. No.
Right.
So they're
Okay.
holding on. They're holding on.
So when did the idea of a class action start to emerge?
So at the moment, just to clarify, we haven't lodged a class action. What we've done is we've formed the group of people who initially actually went through a group grievance with our employer. However, there's a bit of a story there, and unfortunately, after we lodged our group grievance at the Fair Work Commission, and our employer actually received the listing, the notification of that being scheduled, a lot of paramedics were actually terminated. So we actually didn't have the opportunity to have our group grievance heard at the Fair Work Commission.
I don't understand that. Can I ask for clarification on
Yeah,
that?
no, that's
So
okay.
you
Yeah.
filed the grievance stating that what? That you shouldn't have been terminated or
Oh, no, they were separate actual cases that people saw through individually with their terminations at Fair Work. But as a group, we formed a group when the actual instruction to have the vaccine or potentially face termination happened. And we were just aggrieved about, I guess, we just wanted more information. We whatever our issues were, we thought we'll go through the formal grievance process, which all companies have policies and procedures, and we elected to go through a formal process to do it professionally and fairly. And part of that process is actually if you're still in dispute or still need more clarification, we have the right to go to Fair Work and see it through there and ask for the assistance of a commissioner to help us rectify our issues. But we weren't afforded that opportunity because after we basically had our application, had our listing, we were scheduled on a date and time to go to Fair Work as a group to have it discussed. We were terminated.
so
So
terminated
the
you
application was void.
they terminated you preemptively while you were in the process of having your grievance heard. Surely that's not legal. I mean, it's like a
Well,
whistleblower. You're supposed to be given certain
yes,
protections.
I'm not a lawyer or a barrister, but yes, common sense says that that's not lawful.
Oh, that's dirty
I
tactics.
mean,
Really dirty tactics.
in the first instance, being asked to have a vaccine from an employee at your workplace is not lawful.
No.
Anyhow, anyway, we'll leave that up to, the barrister and the lawyers to sort this out for us.
Yep. Yep. That's shocking. That's absolutely shocking that they would do that. It's like,
Yeah.
they're denying you your right to be heard.
Yeah, it is interesting. We need more clarification on whether that is appropriate or not. But common sense is telling myself I don't think it is.
No, I don't think it is either, and I'm no lawyer either, but
Mm,
I do know there are
mm.
certain protections and
And I guess that brings me back to I'd like to just say that at the end of the day, we just need closure. We need to find out whether we were treated unfairly, unlawfully. We need to test this properly. So we've been to Fair Work, and that's the beginning of a legal process. But after Fair Work, if you're not successful, we do need to file for our matter to go to court
yeah.
for us to see the legal process through thoroughly.
Yep. So
Yeah.
that's where you are right now, and you've set up an organization, AV Seeking Remedies, and you are trying to raise funds to pay a barrister and a legal team, just to get the process started. Is that what that's for?
That's right, that's correct. So we've got a group of mainly terminated paramedics in Victoria. We have police, we have ACOs, and we have Ambulance Victoria admin, all terminated staff. So we have opened the doors to other allied professionals, other professional services to join us. Perhaps they will in the future. But at the moment, we have our group of people. We have a barrister and a solicitor in the wings, so to speak. And we need the funds to pay for the barrister and the solicitor.
Yep. Okay, I will be linking to your website where people can donate via PayPal, which is fantastic. And I think that the amount of money that you're trying to raise is extremely reasonable. It's not like there's an awful lot that you're not asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're just asking for
No,
small amounts.
no.
And
And
it's
and
important.
fortunately, we have a barrister and a solicitor that are not charging us too much, which I think is wonderful. It's reasonable, and it's obviously going to increase the chances of us being able to do this. And we definitely see the bigger picture. It's not just about us. We're not any more important than anyone else that's been impacted by the mandate and lost their jobs. So there is a section on the website that actually discloses where any further money raised will actually go to other professionals such as nurses, teachers, MFB, CFA, police. There's a whole list there. So we
Right.
definitely want to reach out and try and help everyone else who's actually been affected by this, and would
And I
like to
think,
see their legal process through as well.
yes, a successful case for you will have a knock-on effect for other people, because I know there are several other class actions that are in the process of being planned right now, and any one of them being successful will greatly increase the chances of the others being
That's right.
successful as
Yes,
well.
exactly.
So that's fantastic. Have you been getting much interest from the media or from the community at all?
We have actually, which is really, really, we're very grateful. And so we've had a few people recently. We've had Morgan Jonas from the Freedom Party. We've had Graham Hood, who
Beautiful.
I'll have an interview with shortly. Monica Smith. We've also got Avi as well from Rebel News,
Yep.
and a few others as well. And of course, yourself.
But no mainstream media is picking this up. The Melbourne Age hasn't contacted you
We
or.
actually haven't reached out to them.
Okay, all right. Well, when you feel
Maybe
like
we
it, you
should.
might want to do that because they might be interested in this. The media seems to
Yeah,
be, the mainstream media, the legacy media seems to be moving a little bit closer to actually questioning what's going on here, which is wonderful. I mean, they still have a lot of way to go before they actually start showing both sides, but at least they're inching
mm,
forward a little bit. So that's really, really good. And do you, I mean, you don't have any idea on a timeline as to when your case before the Fair Work Australia is going to be finalized and you can move forward with this other case, or no?
oh, in regards to a timeline, I think you're sort of referring to maybe a statute of limitation. So our Fair Work cases have been heard
Oh, they
and
have. Okay.
closed and all unsuccessful.
Oh,
So now the next step through a legal process is to take your matter to court if necessary. So a statute of limitation to do that for us is 2 years. So we were terminated in December 21. So hence why we have launched this project now. So we've got until the end of the year to file.
right. Okay, so you have another few months to file. So anyone
Yes,
who's
we've got
watching
time.
this now, you do need to put your support forward now because there is a deadline, a definite deadline for
That's
this
true.
to take
Exactly. We do
place.
need to move on this. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
definitely.
okay. And are you getting more people joining um, the case or whatever? I mean, it's not a case yet, but are you getting more people saying, "I want to be part of this," or
Yes, we actually have a few that have just joined the group in the last week. So we've only just launched this project, so a lot of people are probably not aware.
yep.
But I do welcome anyone who actually would like to join us, who obviously is in the same situation as us, and you'll see the information on the website. Then reach out. You have the contact details on the website to do so. Um,
Will it only
yeah,
be
so we've only
people?
just launched it recently. So.
Will it only be for people in Victoria, or can other states' ambulance drivers also join?
Um, I couldn't answer that right now because I guess we would have to think about that. I don't see why not, but uh, depending on how many, I think um, we need to get a few through and probably set the precedent, and that will probably
Open the
affect and
gates.
impact everyone anyway, open the
Yep.
gates. But that would definitely be something that we would consider, that's for sure. Yeah.
All right, no worries. And as far as your case goes, as far as your ability to file this case, do you need a lot more people, or is it going to be one case that you're going to run
No.
as the lead case and the rest of them will come behind?
My understanding is that we don't need any more people. We'd only actually have one person, but I guess we're doing it in a group because everyone would like their jobs back. Everyone wants to file before the statute of limitation. So to set precedent, I believe you only need one case,
That's
but
right.
we're trying to help more people, obviously, at the same time.
Yeah, no worries. And I don't, you're probably aware, but in the United States, in just the last month, there have been a couple of really good landmark decisions that have been made. I think one of them was with teachers, and another one, I can't remember if it was police or someone else, I'm not sure. But there were decisions made at the state Supreme Court level in both of those states that where these cases took place. One was in New York and one was in the Midwest. And I think that the people who were taking the case for unfair dismissal won their cases. They were given their jobs back, they were given back pay, and they were given several $1 million each in compensation. So the people who are behind this hopefully are watching what happened there and might be starting to get a little bit nervous that if they don't come to the party and start negotiating, they may be facing a similar situation. And we all know that thanks to dictator Dan, Victoria is just about bankrupt. So I don't think they want to increase the costs any further at this point in time. Um, Jessica, let me ask you, how are you feeling about what is going on now? Are you feeling positive and hopeful about moving forward with this?
Yes, look, I am quite a positive, strong, focused woman. So I'm definitely feeling very strong and very sure of what we're doing.
That's brilliant. Really, really good. Um, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to cover in regards to this. Let me know. Did we miss anything out or?
Look, I don't think so. I think you've covered everything brilliantly. I just wanted to mention, in regards to the crowdfunding, I know that everyone has been affected, obviously, by the mandate and financially, but every small amount accumulates to an amount that will help us get us over the line and pay for our legal costs to do this. And set precedent and then help everyone. So help us help you scenario.
That's a very good point. You know, you're
Mm,
not asking for millions of dollars. If everyone watching this were to give $5 or $10, which I think most of us can afford to give, not everyone, some people
mm,
are really doing it tough, but if you can afford to give $5 or $10, it would go a
yes.
long way to getting this case heard.
Yes, exactly. So we need to. I know that many people have been fighting over the last years now, constantly. But we need to see another case through to the court system and in Victoria as well.
Yep. And unlike the AVN's case, there will be no standing problem here because you will be given
Mm,
standing without a problem whatsoever. So the case
mm,
should go to court, it should be heard, and all you need is the funding to make that happen. So I'm hoping that the people watching this will be generous and that you will get the funds that you need. So Jessica, thank you
yeah.
so very much for joining us today on Under the Wire. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
Meryl.
it.
Thank
No,
you for having me.
no worries at all. Okay.
Okay, so that was the interview. There was something that Jessica said to me after we finished, and I did say that I was going to pass this message on. What she said is that the ambulance workers now, paramedics. Sorry, I'm American, and even though I've lived here for so long, I still call them ambulance officers, ambulance drivers. The paramedics who are still working in the system are some of the biggest supporters that have come forward. They've come forward to help with admin work. They've come forward to give donations. They are being worked to within an inch of their lives because let's face it, they were short staffed to begin with. And now they're even more short-staffed than they were before. So they really want these people back. And I think that most of the people who worked in as a paramedic before COVID would consider going back, though I'm not 100% sure how many of them want to put themselves in that position again, just in case there is another scamdemic coming down the track. Now, I try to, let me just see if I can share this, because there was something that came out today. Can you guys see that? Hopefully you can. This is from, here we go. It's a little bit crossed out, but this is for nurses. Let me see if I can move it up a little bit. This was on the Nurses for Medical Freedom page, and it is something from the nurses, inviting the nurses who were fired because of COVID to come back. And it says, "We are pleased to announce that in response to statewide changes, something will no longer require the COVID vaccine for employment effective July 7th, 2023, so a week ago. With that, we would like to extend you a warm invitation to rejoin us on our journey forward." Now, you can't see it at the bottom because for some reason I can't make that part show up on the screen, but it actually says, "Warmly welcome us back. I'm still working on getting the knife out of my back." And that's the problem. These people have been treated dreadfully. I made a comment on that post and I said, this is what all abusers say. "Oh, it'll never happen again. Come back. I promise I'll be good. I promise I won't hurt you again. I promise that, I won't expect you to do everything and not give you any credit for it. I promise that I won't harm you again." And they don't trust. And I don't blame them for not trusting, because the way they were treated, aside from being abused, aside from being treated like dirt, they were treated incredibly unfairly. And I've spoken about this before, about the social contract and the fact that when we live in a society, a supposedly civilized society, there is supposed to be checks and balances that we can rely on. The court system, the police, the government, the media, all of these are supposed to be working to help us protect our rights. And instead, every single one of those so-called protectors was working to take our rights away and to make it very difficult for us to live in the way that we should be able to live. So there is a lack of trust right now. And I think it would be the same with the paramedics in Victoria. And what is needed, it's incredible. Like, I see this with vaccinations all the time. The pharmaceutical companies, not just vaccinations, but drugs. The pharmaceutical companies do something incredibly amoral, underhanded. They use tactics for marketing and cover up known harms to the products that they're selling. And then when they get caught, they pay billions of dollars in fines, which has to hurt a little bit. But for them, they just raise the price of their products a little bit and it covers those fines. There needs to be real consequences. There needs to be real accountability. And in this case, if this case goes forward, and I'm hoping that people will help to fund this. If this case goes forward and is won, there will be consequences for the people who made the decisions to mandate the vaccines for these workers and to not allow exemptions and to fire them. And those consequences will be financial. They may get their jobs back. They may get back pay. They may get compensation. And there could also be the potential of civil or criminal penalties. And potentially some of these decision makers could end up behind bars wearing orange jumpsuits. And trust me, if that's the case, it will not happen again for a very, very long time. But if there is no accountability, if these people are not held to account for what they have done, it will happen again. So it is vitally important that these cases go ahead, not just this one, but all the other cases that are being planned. And remember, I will be speaking with Katie Ashby Copens very soon about the injunction that's being sought to stop the mRNA vaccines. So there are a lot of good things coming down the track, and life goes in cycles, doesn't it? I've been around long enough to have seen this, but every time you get to a point where it just seems so bad and things can't possibly improve, the cycle switches and turns and things get better. And I feel strongly that we are just about at that point right now. And it's going to be a return to justice, a return to freedom. And the people who are the most responsible, the Bill Gates of the world, the Klaus Schwabs, the Greg Hunts and ScoMo and Albo, they will be held accountable and they will pay the price for their crimes. Maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm a cockeyed optimist, I don't know, but I do feel that strongly. So I hope you guys are able to watch. I was trying to look on my iPad to see if I could see this playing on Rumble or on YouTube. I didn't check CloudHub. I can check CloudHub, but I couldn't see it playing. But then again, John Nelson said he was hearing. So somebody's seeing this. And it will be uploaded to the Spotify. I'll do it tonight because it's only a short episode, so it won't take that long to upload. So it will be on Spotify as a podcast tonight. I want to thank you all so much for joining me, whoever is here. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to see more comments, but please keep an eye open because I'll let you know when Katie's going to be on the show, and that will be an episode not to be missed. Things are getting better, things are improving, so let's celebrate together on all the positive things that are happening. From me at Under the Wire, I'd like to wish you all a really good night, or wherever you're from, a great day, and I will see you all again soon. Take care now. Bye.